I'm turning Japanese, I think I'm turning Japanese, I really think so. Da 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 da. Oppa Gangnam Style. Oh, 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 oh. Oppa Gangnam Style. Oh, tell me what you want, what you re want. I want a re want a ziggy zig. Ah. Hey guys, it's Nick back once again with my final book report on America's racial demographics. This time, we're going to look at the most Asian states in America. The Asian population makes up 4.9% of the total US population, and their percentage of the US population has increased since the 1980s. The census determines Asian as countries such as China, Japan, and Korea, as well as the Pacific Islands like Tonga, Samoa, and Fiji. And India is considered to be in South Asia. Asia is the most populous continent in the world, with its inhabitants accounting for 60% of the world's population. Now, in today's video, we're going to talk about the US states with the largest Asian populations, talk about famous Asian Americans, and reference a handful of Asian stereotypes. And remember, we've done this many times before with Black Americans and Hispanic Americans as well. There are very few personal opinions in this report, so we're not picking on anyone. Alright, we're about to get started. We just need to do one more thing. We need to choose our title color. Okay, we're all set to explore America's most Asian states. We begin our tour of the most Asian states in America in Alaska. In Alaska, the Asian population is 6%, and Alaska has the 6th fastest growing Asian population in the USA. In Wyoming, the Asian population's 0.75%, but only 842 Asian Americans moved to Wyoming in the last 10 years. Kodiak has by far the largest Asian population at 35%. Anchorage is 9% Asian. There are more Pacific Islanders per capita in Anchorage than any other country in the US except Hawaii. Asians came to Alaska in the late 1700s to help with fishing jobs and to work in Alaskan gold mines. Today, Filipinos represent 54% of Alaska's total Asian population and are 2.7% of Alaska's total population.
Oh, that paddlefoot. He funny city dog. He think totem pole alive.
Are Eskimos considered Asians? I'm not sure where they're from, but I think they might be included here because I'm sure there's a ton of Eskimos in Alaska.
Eskimos aren't Asians, according to my research.
Really, Mappy? Well, let's Google it. You better be right or I'm giving you the hand. Okay, it looks like Alaska Eskimos are an indigenous race. They're called Yupiks. Okay, Mappy, you were right. I don't know why I ever doubt you. Sorry about that veiled thread. Moving on, we come to our next most Asian state in the US, in Virginia. In the state of Virginia, the Asian population makes up about 6.17% of the state's demographics. The Asian population here has increased by about 1% in the last 10 years. Herndon, Fairfax, and Vienna have the state's biggest Asian populations. In Annandale, the Vietnamese population is 10%, which is why many Virginia natives call it Asiandale. Being so close to DC, it begs the question, how many Asian politicians have made it to Congress or the Senate? In fact, there have been about 50 total, including Mazie Hirono from Hawaii and Tammy Duckworth of Illinois. Tulsi Gabbard is Samoan. The guy from Fantasy Island isn't from Virginia, nor is he Asian. He's French. Okay, so Asians aren't necessarily breaking down the doors in DC, but that brings up another question. Which jobs do Asian Americans do the most? According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, Asians are most likely to be in the computer sciences, scientists, pharmacists, engineers, and doctors. As such, Asians far outpace the income levels of most Americans, earning an average of $80,000 a year. What the? So Asians are rich. Moving on, we come to the next most Asian state in America, Maryland. In Maryland, the Asian population is 6.18% and growing by about 0.1% each year. DC suburb Rockville has a 20% Asian population. College Park, home to the University of Maryland, is 15% Asian. Baltimore is 2.5% Asian, but most are not likely Baltimore Ravens fans. Why, you ask? That's because Asians don't watch football much. Baseball is by far the most popular sport for Asians, and basketball is also popular. Jeremy Lin was a popular NBA player, and baseball stars Ichiro Suzuki and Hideo Nomo were from Japan. Tiger Woods is half Asian. Now, Asians do dominate at more global sports. At each Olympic Games, Asian athletes, especially those from China, do quite well. Combined, China has won the 8th most Olympic medals ever. So the stereotype that Asians aren't good athletes is false, especially in ping pong or table tennis. There's a long, lengthy list of ping pong Olympic titles for Asian teams. I couldn't find any notable Asians who were born in Maryland, but famous Asians who may have been to Maryland for a ping pong tournament at some point in their lives may include Zhu Xin, Wayne Lekin, and Fan Xingdong. They look really focused. Where's our next most Asian state in America? That would be Massachusetts. Here in Massachusetts, the Asian population is 6.25%, which is 1.1% higher than it was 10 years ago. Quincy, Malden, Lowell, and Cambridge all have the largest Asian populations here. In Cambridge, it's 16%. Now, of course, Cambridge is home to Harvard University, pretty much the most prestigious university in the US. One stereotype of Asians is that they're smart. Now, if you look at a list of the smartest states in America, Massachusetts is number 1. But are Asians really smarter than the rest of America? In the US, people identifying themselves as East Asian tend to have higher IQ scores than Caucasians do, who in turn have higher IQ scores than Black Americans. On SAT scores, Asians score higher than any other race in America too. And when you look at the average IQ for different countries, Asian countries dominate all the top spots. The US is way down here. There's no doubt that many Asian parents put more pressure on their children to do well in school. Famous Asians from Massachusetts include ping pong players Harry Guo and Wayne Ha, as well as Hello Kitty. Back to the map we go, we come to our next most Asian state in America, Nevada. Here in the hot and deserty landscape, the Asian population is 7.9%. In fact, the Asian population in Nevada is the 5th fastest growing in the US. Henderson, a Las Vegas suburb, is 8% Asian. Las Vegas is 6.5% Asian, and Reno is 6.2% Asian. One modern stereotype is that Asians gamble more than any other race. In fact, some of poker's biggest stars are Asian. Indonesia's John Juwanda is probably the most successful of all, having won 24 million in tournaments. Taiwan native Kitty Kuo is likely the most well-known female Asian poker player. Both live in Las Vegas. But do Asians gamble more than any other race? After all, if you walk around the floor in Vegas or at your nearby casino, many of the baccarat tables are mostly Asian. Mappy, do you know if Asians gamble more than anyone else?
I don't know the answer, Nick.
I'll look it up. What good are you today, Mappy? Quit playing video games and help out, would you? Research shows Asians in the US have a disproportionate number of pathological gamblers as compared to the general American population, especially with games of skill, including mahjong, in which Asians believe they can outthink their opponents. Overall, the theory that Asians gamble a lot is explained by the fact that Asians believe they can influence, shape, and control luck. And for Asians, gambling is considered more of a social activity than with other races. Where's our next most Asian state in America? That would be Washington. Here in the Evergreen State, 8% of the population is Asian, which is a 1.1% increase over the last 10 years. Cities with the biggest Asian populations in Washington include Redmond, Bellevue, and Newcastle. In Redmond, the Asian population makes up about 34%, or about 1 in 3 residents. A recent article credits a plentiful supply of high-tech jobs and good schools for the main reason Redmond has a high Asian population. Redmond's home to Microsoft and Nintendo, and as we saw earlier, Asians have a high number of computer-related careers. Besides coding and designing video games, are Asians likely to hike and explore Washington's beautiful outdoors? Not likely. According to the US Census, of all major races in America, Asians are the least likely demographic to explore the outdoors in terms of recreation. Instead, they are far more likely to play video games and spend their time on their computers. Famous Asians from Washington include actress Diana Lee, civil rights leader and human rights activist Karen Nagasaki, and Pikachu. There are no notable ping pong players from Washington. Let's look up the next most Asian state in the US, where we'll stop in New York. Here in the Empire State, 8.28% of the population is Asian. New York's Asian population has also increased by more than a percentage point in the last 10 years. Hyde Park is a third Asian, Manor Haven is 20% Asian, and Ithaca, New York is 18% Asian. Two of these cities are in Long Island, hence the nickname among New Yorkers, Wong Island. Now, getting around New York might be a real pain, especially if you actually drive a car, which is why a lot of people in the New York City area take public transportation. One modern stereotype of Asians is that they can't drive. Well, according to the American Council of Science and Health, outside of Eskimos, which drive sled dogs, Asian Americans are the least likely to be involved in a deadly car accident. And according to the auto insurance industry, Asian drivers pay about 10% less than any other race. So next time you see a bad Asian driver, perhaps it's an anomaly. Now, while driving, what types of music do Asians prefer? Pop, by a large margin, and specifically K-pop, a style of music originating in South Korea, which is heavily influenced by styles and genres from all over the world. HOT, or High Five of Teenagers, was the original Korean boy band to start this trend. Famous Asians from New York include pool player Jeanette Lee, actress Lucy Liu, and Norah Jones. She's Indian. We're going to visit our next most Asian state in New Jersey. Right next door to New York, New Jersey has a much higher Asian population than New York at 9.4% and growing. In fact, New Jersey has the fastest growing Asian population in America. Factually, New Jersey has the fastest growing Asian population in America. Palisades Park, Fort Lee, and Leonia all have Asian populations over 40%. Palisades Park has a 60% Asian population. Koreatown in Palisades Park has one of the largest and fastest growing ethnic Korean enclaves outside of Korea. 1 in 4 residents in Somerset County, New Jersey are Asian as well. According to the New York Times, young professionals from South Asian countries like India, Pakistan, Nepal, and Sri Lanka are becoming very politically active in New Jersey. The most common Asian names in America are Win, Lee, Kim, Patel, Tran, Mr. Miyagi, and Chun-Li. Moving on, we come to our second most Asian state in the US, which is California. There's a very large jump between New Jersey and California. Here in the Golden State, the Asian population is 14% and growing. Monterey Park, a LA suburb, is 67% Asian. Cupertino, home to Apple, is 66% Asian. Many Los Angeles and San Francisco suburbs have Asian populations over 50%. San Francisco, home of Bruce Lee, is 33% Asian. In fact, it's kind of hard to go anywhere in the greater LA and San Francisco area without seeing Asian markets, nail salons, and of course, food. It's the opinion of this channel that the Golden Dragon restaurant on Broadway in Koreatown has the best dim sum in the whole world. Well, at least in the LA area. Americans were asked what their favorite Asian food dishes are. They were satay, sushi, chicken curry, tom yum, dim sum, and laksa. And where is our most Asian state in America? If you guessed Hawaii, you're right, mister. Hawaii has far more Asians than any other state, at 37%. Hawaii is actually becoming less Asian over time, as residents are leaving Hawaii and moving to places like California. Hawaii's lost 1.5% of its Asians since 2010. Most of the larger cities in Hawaii are at least half Asian. Honolulu is 53% Asian. Most of the early Asian settlers to the US went to Hawaii first. Many of these early immigrants moved to the islands as laborers to work on the pineapple, coconut, and sugarcane plantations. A few years back, Filipinos passed Japanese residents to become the largest Asian population in Hawaii. And of course, Hawaii is about halfway between the US and Asia as it is. Hawaii is well known for surfing. Are there any famous Asian surfers to come out of Hawaii? Yes, there are. Duke Kahanamoku was born in Hawaii, and he's supposedly like the 7th most famous surfer ever. Earlier, we discovered Asians are smarter than the rest of Americans. Now, how does Hawaii hold up when it comes to smarts? After all, since Hawaii is more than a third Asian, it should be off the chart smart. 16th. I don't think Hawaii is applying itself. Okay, so that's it. Our most Asian states in America. In case you're wondering, these are the states with the least number of Asians in America. This wraps up our summary of the major races in America, and as you can see by these maps, different regions have a distinct racial demographic. Hopefully you learned something like I did. I'm giving you everything, all that joy can bring, this I swear. If you wanna be my lover, you gotta get with my plans. make it last forever. Friendship never ends. Hey guys, if you learned something new or you just like this video, make sure to like it. And if you really like this video, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you get all of our videos about what it's like to live in different places in America. Peace.